Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Today, I have my good cousin from Canada visiting, and we thought that maybe we can have some conversations that we always have together, and maybe we can make a video here and there on some topics. Today's topic would be uh, the platform of social media, channels, YouTube versus the mainstream mass media, the freedom that we are given through these platforms. We're going to talk about some benefits, maybe some drawbacks, and your floor. Go ahead.
I can talk from the perspective of the consumer, which I think this is why I think it's valuable our conversation, because Emil is a content creator, and you may say that he could be biased, right, or something, but I can tell you that I'm watching and I'm interested in media and news, and I can see a certain uh, view of superiority from the traditional mass media, in which they are talking, oh, for sure, these people are not informed because this information comes from social or from YouTube, and how can they know, right? Then whenever there is a subject that it's a little bit tricky and it goes out of a certain train of thought that they are used to just talk in a certain way, and they don't want to move right or left, they don't want to even investigate it, or they can't, they are just hi. Uh, so we have such a nice place here. Uh, they will just say, okay, we are superior, and now why? If you start to think about one of the values in economy, in the market of idea, is competition. Think about traditional mass media. It How many channels? There are a few channels, so there is already a limitation. There are three, four, five. Now, if there is one new news outlet, or it can be owned, and another one, they are all owned by the same corporation. So eventually, there isn't no such a big variety. Then in the other situation, they tend to be hierarchical. It's not going to exercise their freedom necessarily of judgment, or complete honest and unbiased subject presentation. It will be some kind of a company policy. We all work for companies, and we know that there are company policies, and it would be insane to believe that in news you just go there, and they would hire you, and they would say, okay, you are free to say whatever you want, and we don't have any kind of ulterior motives, or we don't have a policy on what subjects and on what side on some subjects we are. So basically, it's the hierarchy, the control, then there is the very small choice that you can get there, the limitation of competition that you get there. And it's very difficult for me to see what would be, why would mass media, and if you have one, name me one that in which traditional mass media would be better than this new way of interacting with people.
Well, we definitely have, in this aspect, more ability to communicate and express our ideas, and we like it, we don't like it when these platforms are blocking us, or for various policy violations. But still, we can communicate and exchange information and knowledge versus the mass media who had a monopoly on this. Remember, the mass media used to be the decider of political presidential elections. If the mass media would just made a few articles, would come up with some articles or some little shows against a candidate, they would be gone, done. And remember, there were like four, five, six media outlets, mostly on the same side, left or I would say, but there was no diversity in opinions, I would say. But now, any person who has a channel or any person who has a little ability to communicate using these platforms has a voice. And you want to watch it, you watch it. If you don't want to watch it, you don't want to watch it. Versus the mainstream mass media, which is very much funded and very much used to be in control. And I think it's a big fight between the mainstream mass media and this kind of means of communication.
In To go further, it's the consumption of information, or it's the analytical way of seeing information or interacting with the information. And I think in this also, this type of channels, this type of social media allows information to develop. Meaning, you just start the TV, whatever they say there, you agree, you don't agree, there is no way to know. Maybe 90% of the people disagree, but you are going to listen to that today, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and eventually, even if you don't agree, you would have, especially if there are a number of experts there, and all of them are kind of against your opinion, you would kind of feel, man, I may be the only one that thinks maybe it's different. And then eventually this will develop groupthink. This will develop that you will not treat the information in a way that you can see if other people agree or don't agree with it. In this way, there is a comment section, there is sharing, the content that is creating by these platforms can grow. For example, there was a video made by Emil about Jay Shankar. We were reading there a few days ago. There were information there about Jay Shankar. It was information about where he studied. So suddenly it's a cluster of information. Plus, if you don't like it, it's not only that you don't like it, you can say there, no, this is not right, this is misinformation, which you cannot do at TV. So that's one of the things that even very respectable traditional ways of information, like The Economist, they prefer to have the comments section taken out, even if in the comments sometimes you used to read more valuable information than the article. So it's, in some ways, you may think about traditional media, it's just they try to form opinion, not try to develop in an idea that would be really fitting the population that are looking at it.
I think it's a misconception that the population has on the anchors. The anchors are not well read. There's no test how much you know about international relations, about history, about geopolitics. That's not why you are over there. Why? Because you read a teleprompter. So you read what other people will tell you. You're just the actor. You're just the person who's manufacturing that information in a pleasant, attractive way. So when you, for instance, get a person who used to work for, let's say, a big media outlet, and you have that person who's not working for that media outlet, and I can give you some examples. Bill O'Reilly, I can give you Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo, right? Is that what his name was? Look at them and look how well they do in their own podcast. I'm not trying to bash them, but compare that being on their own, just their message, versus the success or the volume of people that were watching them every night when they had their whatever prime time or whatever, and you're gonna see a big discrepancy. It's not only because it is the information is not there. Maybe it is. I don't really listen to these guys. I just listened a few times. It was enough to form an opinion because you see the same pattern. But these people work for a big corporation. They were successful. They don't work for that corporation. You don't hear about them. They're not as successful or influential as they used to be before. How many people are like, let's say, Bill O'Reilly? There was a Fox, and now they have their own channel. How many are there? And you don't know about how great they are, like making content. You don't hear from them. or about them, you don't know, but you know Bill O'Reilly, which for me it was at best at 5 out of from 0 to 10. 10 the best, 0 uh, the worst. I don't think he was a 5 in any way. In any way. And he was Bill O'Reilly. All right, go and watch him now and see how much that attracts you. That's a preference for me at least, but I think it plays a role. The platform, obviously.
Oh, and here, what you said, I think is very important because, you know, you buy people when you give them an opportunity that is bigger than they deserve. You buy them. So Bill O'Reilly is an amazing example. He used to be for 10 years or 15 years. He was leading a certain area of audience, and it was millions, and he was millions of spectators every single day to watch his show, and he was paid because he was so valuable with 20 millions or something at one moment in time. Now think about, you go out, and in the moment in which you go out, you have 30,000 or 40,000 people that watch you. So the question is,
you value less now? How come you value less as a message?
So, and think about, were you really honest in the moment in which you made 20 million? So you were dependent on that position to be important. You were not important and then you got the position. No, that position made you. And that's another big problem that I can see, being corporations and being opportunities for people that are at best mediocre intellectually, emotionally, and they are just interested in promoting themselves and promoting their interests.
Well, it's and this is obviously a very large subject, and we can't cover it in. I mean, we can, as I always say, we can. This is what we usually do when we meet. We just sit down, have some wine or whatever we drink, and talk for hours and hours and hours during the nighttime until the morning. This is what we talk about: politics, economics, and social, and so on. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna go longer today. We can make videos in the future. He visited. I'm glad that he agreed to participate in this conversation. And if you are interested, just leave your comments below. We can interact with you, and suggestions and questions for Bogdan, questions for me. And as you are as a very passionate community that I got to know, you will do that. So thank you very much for being with us today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.